Let's start. Can you hear me? Yeah, good morning. Welcome to the Windows Embedded Standard 7 in Disguise session. My name is Alexander Wexler. I'm a consultant. I'm running a small company close to Munich in Germany, and I'm focusing on Windows Embedded OS development as well as application development. Yeah, what is Windows Embedded? Anybody has not heard of Windows Embedded in here? Oh, that's one, two. Okay. So what is Windows Embedded? It's a specialized Windows product portfolio with specialized embedded licensings that meet the different embedded scenarios, which are different to the desktop and server world, of course. It's supported by a specialized partner ecosystem. So you've got a special embedded distributor, system integrators, software vendors, hardware vendors as well. And for Microsoft, an embedded device is defined as a single purpose dedicated system where hardware, operating system, as well as the application are combined to provide a single solution. So it's kind of, everything in a box. In contrast, otherwise they're just shipping Windows and leave the OEM to put it on a box. Typical Windows embedded devices, and I'm kidding here a little bit, because there are no typical Windows embedded devices. So you name it. There may be digital signage devices, HMI devices, fuel pumps, checkout systems, navigation devices, ATMs, industrial automation controllers, remote controls. Windows embedded can be in something anywhere. And I'm sure you have used the device and you've been aware that Windows Embedded is inside that device. The Windows Embedded products, let's start with the smallest one. It's Windows Embedded Compact. This is Microsoft's only hard real-time capable operating system. So it's really designed for industrial automation. You can get below 100 microseconds of response time. It's very small. Multitasking OS and runs on a variety of different processors, beginning from x86 to Hitachi SH4. Windows Embedded Standard, that's the one we're having a look at today. There is an older version based on XP Pro. The new version is based on Windows 7. Then there are normal retail products which are sold under an embedded license, so you cannot go and put that system, that Windows Embedded Enterprise, Windows 7, on your secretary's desktop. But if you need to have a full-blown Windows Vista, Windows 7, XP Pro, you can have this under an embedded license. There's also a special product for the retail vertical market. It's called POS Ready, Point of Service, which is built on Windows Embedded Standard. So it's a special version of Windows Embedded Standard. We also got Windows Embedded Server, which is, again, the retail server product under a special embedded license. But let's have a look at Windows Embedded Standard 7. It's the newest version of the family of componentized desktop systems that started a few years ago with NT4 embedded, we had XP embedded, Windows Embedded Standard 2009, which was kind of XP embedded, new version. And now we've got Windows Embedded Standard 7. You can really think of a construction kit. You can pick and choose from the features and build your own dedicated system. It's localizable for many markets, just as Windows 7 is. And there's a special tool set for image creation, which is kind of an adapted version of the Windows 7 setup. And I'm going to show you the tools in a minute as well. The benefits here are that you're able to leverage the latest Windows 7 technology, be it the full Win32 API, .NET application compatibility, so you could use WPF applications, Silverlight applications. Literally, you can run anything on Windows Embedded Standard 7 that runs on Windows 7. Otherwise, if it doesn't run on Windows 7, I wouldn't try it on Windows Embedded Standard. And also a benefit of Windows Embedded Standard 7, you get more features than are available for Windows 7 Ultimate. These features are called the Windows Embedded Enabling features, which are targeted at required functionality for the embedded market. So, for example, the write filters, enhanced write filter, file-based write filter, which add robustness to the system. Special boot options such as USB boot, SDI boot in the Service Pack 1 now, DVD-ROM and network boot, and headless operation, for example. Also, a great benefit is that Windows Embedded Standard 7 does not require activation. And that was a long fight, as I know, in the Windows Embedded group against big Windows. But they made it, and that's outstanding, because in embedded scenarios, activation very seldomly makes sense. Looking at the technical specifications, they're pretty much the same as for Windows 7 because you're running the same bits. So every system that is able to run Windows 7 should be able to run Embedded Standard as well. The design goals for Embedded Standard are around 512 megabyte on disk. And, well, that's just the basic minimal system. You can't do a lot of stuff with a 512 embedded core system. So typical systems which are usable begin slightly over 1 gigabyte of disk footprint. Is that bad or good? Bad. Okay. Other voices? So it's bad. Okay. I have a slightly different angle. Of course, it's bad if you come from XP Embedded, because XP Embedded systems were much smaller. You could have a fully functional system around 200, 300 megabyte. Smaller systems, even 64, 70 megabytes. But on the other hand, nowadays, storage is cheaper. Yeah, but do you get a 64 megabyte flash card anymore? Most probably not.
Well, that's the challenge. What's the compelling reason to go that route?
Well, I think the Windows Embedded Group would like to have it the other way around, but they're just somehow dependent on big Windows. And the XP Pro system was much more granular, componentized in the development. Yeah, in the development process as Windows 7 is. So that's the reason for it. I don't think they made it on purpose. Did you? Oh, yeah, I know, yeah. All right, and yeah, we have about 512 megabyte of RAM. If there's more, it doesn't hurt, of course, yeah. Windows Embedded Standard 7 is fit for x86 and x64 processors, which does not mean that you are able to generate one image and then deploy it on 32-bit systems and 64-bit systems. You always need to create one image for 32-bit and one image for 64-bit. We've got a lot of feature sets and feature packs. Of course, not as many as with XP Embedded. We just talked about that. XP Embedded, around 12,000 components. We're now back to 650 feature packages. The good thing about that is you don't have to know as many components by heart. Well, I didn't know 12,000 components by heart anyway, but in XP Embedded, 2,000 components were the most important ones. There are configurable settings for each package if there are settings in the package. And the really outstanding thing is that due to the fact that we're building on the Windows 7 deployment infrastructure, we're able to leverage these infrastructure also for the Windows Embedded devices, meaning you're able to post-install features that you might have forgotten, which were not in the requirements, on devices in the field. And that's something that was never possible with XP Embedded. You always had to re-image the whole device. And the tool you would be using for doing this is the Deployment Image Servicing Management Tool, or DISM. Looking at the embedded enabling features, well, they add robustness and flexibility to your embedded device, meaning the write filters protect partitions, so you cannot, or the users cannot tamper with the settings you have made. Using USB boot or SDI boot, you have flexible boot possibilities. Hibernate Once Resume Many is a functionality where you boot many times from a one-time created hibernation file. That's very good if you have power outages, for example, in industrial automation. It's kind of as soon as you come up, you go into a predefined, already initialized system state, which, shrinks down the downtime you may experience. Custom shell and OEM branding, we do a lot of that today. And I'm also going to show you some of the message blockers which are built into the system. Why do we need special embedded features in embedded? Who's ever seen something like this? Blue screens, message boxes on signs where you never are able to click on. And of course, this is a problem. And if the screens get bigger, the problem even gets bigger because it really hurts your reputation as a company or corporation. And Microsoft. Well, it doesn't hurt me so much, but if you're the vendor of that digital sign, you might be in trouble there. Let's have a look at the build process. Here's a fundamental overview. We've got all that embedded core, feature packages, embedded enabling features, language packs, driver packs, third-party software installers. And we can use the build engine, which is kind of an adapted Windows setup version, to combine our configuration on a target device. And that's also a huge difference to XP Embedded. How was the XP Embedded build process? Any XP Embedded guys here? Yeah?
You basically had a first boot, and you got your operating system up and running, and then you spend a good week or so tweaking it to get it to your needs.
Well, tweaking hasn't got completely out of the way, to be honest. No, I meant the development process, the build process. You normally build on the development system first a raw image, copied it over on the embedded device, and then you had to go through first boot agent, which again took 20 minutes or something like that. With Windows Embedded Standard, we're building on the target device, so speeding up or shrinking the development time about 50%, and that's really cool. The output of the image build engine is a completely functional operating system, which can be updated even through Windows Update. And that's also one of the great new features of Embedded Standard. That was not possible with XP Embedded because Windows Update, loaded everything down what was available. The new version of Windows Update is a little bit more intelligent. It checks what is there and updates only the available components. That's also one of the big new benefits. Okay, enough talking. Oh yeah, I get used to that. That's only the PowerPoint PC here. Switching to my laptop. I'm going to start a virtual PC, which is my target system here. And I've inserted the DVD with Image Builder Wizard, the IBW disk. It contains a bootable Windows pre-installation image. WinPE, everybody knows WinPE? Great, so that's a replacement for the DOS boot disk. And we're right now booting into that raw hardware system. So it has nothing configured, no disk layout, nothing, just booting from DVD. You could also copy that over to a USB stick and use USB boot to boot your raw hardware systems. All right, taking some time. It's always especially slow when you're presenting. You know that? And what we are going to see now is the image build engine. And the image build engine provides us two options. One is the so-called Image Builder Wizard, IBW, where you're able to do rapid prototyping on the fly by clicking through it. I'm going to show you that. The second option is deploy answer files. Because what we are doing in the other tool, we're going to use Image Configuration Editor. We're not building raw images anymore, as we did with XP Embedded. We're only creating unattended setup files, which we again have to put into the build engine. And we would use a second option to do that. We're going to start with a rapid prototyping option here. Building an image. And you can see here that's familiar. Setup is storing. So I have not been lying. It's Windows 7 setup. Okay. Of course, we accept any license agreement with Microsoft. Don't think about it. You can't help it either. And then we are able to choose templates. And the Microsoft marketing did a lot of research which templates do make sense. And today we're going to build a digital sign. So we say digital signage device. We also could view the template here. Say next. Well,
Can you customize and add additional entries to that list?
I'm going to show you this right now. I need to turn to German keyboard here because otherwise I've got problems. And now to your questions. We've got a summary of drivers and features here because in the background, the setup is detecting all the available hardware on the target system because we're running on the target system using a tool, Target Analyzer Probe, the same tool as with XP Embedded. And detecting which of the drivers are available in the current distribution share, which is on the DVD. And if we say, OK, we want to modify features and say next, we can do that, of course. And add feature packages. For example, let's add the unbranded, where are they? Additional branding, yeah. The unbranded was already selected. So today is about branding, so we select the unbranded branded startup screens. Always, if we have added something, we need to resolve the dependencies to make sure our system still is able to run after adding something. And after that is done, we go to the next button. Oh, yeah, that was too fast. We get a summary of everything, and then we're able to install just like a normal Windows setup. I don't do that because it takes so long, so just switching that off. Shut down. And I wanted to show you the other tool we are able to use. In IBW, we're not able to do fine-grained configuration settings. Therefore, there's another tool which is called ICE Image Configuration Editor. And what you can do is literally the same. You have the list of feature packs, language packs, drivers, and so on. What you need to do is, because this is not running on the target system, you need to use the Target Analyzer Probe application to collect the hardware information and import it into the image configuration editor first. But then you're able to just create a new answer file, like it was in XP Embedded, and add your features you want to have. For example, the unbranded startup screen. We could also add .NET support and so on. So here you do the configuration. If there are things we can configure, you see them on the right pane, which is the configuration pane. And if you're aware of the Windows 7 configuration passes, they also apply in Windows Embedded Standard 7. So you're really flexible to specify during the deployment process which partitions should be created, should be some deleted, or so on. What should be configured, what should be installed or not. So that's a pretty flexible mechanism you can find here. Of course, you have to validate again if you have added something, and you see the results, if the dependency is missing in the task pane. Anybody who has worked with XP Embedded? Yes, question?
Can you customize
It's not yet part of the distribution share. If you update the distribution share and there's a package for .NET 4.0 available, then it appears in the distribution share.
If I were to do this after the fact, is there some way of linking that back to your
Yes, you can create a custom task which installs the normal installation package.
dependency check, or is there some mechanism?
No, it's not dependency checked, unfortunately. Yeah. But if you put in 3.5, you should have all the dependencies. But you're right. Nobody's perfect, even not this system. All right. So, any questions? All right. And let's go back to the presentation. And let's dig deeper into our main topic, branding Windows Embedded Standard 7. At first, a disclaimer. Everything you'll hear in this session is experimental and should be taken that way. Partially, there's no support from Microsoft for this. That sounds scary. Yeah, question?
I guess the question that's motivated there is it generates increased difficulty aftermarket once you deploy something, in fact, that you're missing out on
Support?
Microsoft from your support.
Well, it depends. If you're OEM, if you're an OEM, the first thing is you need to test it anyway, because this is a highly flexible system, and you need to support your customers anyway. So your customers cannot go directly to Microsoft.
Appreciate that, but when you're talking about dependency support, based on my last question,
Yeah?
it becomes increasingly difficult to manage when you have a moving target that you're trying to deploy.
I'm completely with you. It should be that way, but it's not always the perfect.
What is the roadmap with respect to Microsoft?
Microsoft certainly will not be able to support.
The hacking issues that you're addressing.
Well, Microsoft is certainly not able to support all the hackings I'm going to show you today. But they're supporting a lot of them. Yeah?
Maybe clarify the support story. Microsoft doesn't stop supporting your embedded OS. We continue supporting you for all of you that have not been tweaked and hacked. Microsoft continues supporting you as an OEM if things are not working correctly in the stack that have not been hacked. Right? The hack part of it here is that you're adding or changing things that we've not tested ourselves. And then we cannot guarantee you that we will spend our time in the support team to fix because you changed it and we are not
So in the
responsible.
CE world, we weren't able to hack, for example, to start that was part of our licensing requirements. In the Windows XP Pro world, we weren't able to hack the Gina and the task, the Gina and dbrand because it was against the licensing. And it seems like the paradigm has shifted here.
So we can't.
So what I'm trying to clarify is how do we deal with the licensing and compliatory issues?
The licensing allows you to do that, but we don't provide support when you do that for these specific parts. Right? So if you want to brand a crash screen, you can do that. If what you've been implementing for your splash screen crashes, we want to do support. I mean, when you're going to call to find a bug or to transfer support, we're going to spend time analyzing what the issue is. If we determine that actually it's based on something that you did, which is authorized by license, but that we cannot support because we've not tested it, you'll be on your own for fixing it. Does that make sense? But licensing allows you.
I understand that paradigm, but it becomes increasingly difficult when you don't provide me the tools to do
So we
the
provide.
dependency checking
So
as you used to be able to do in original target.
yeah, so we're careful in terms of what we provide as tools and information. We do provide information and guidances on how to do that. We give a disclaimer saying you're on your own for that in terms of implementing that solution. Obviously, internally, what we are telling people to do, like for the CMP session yesterday, what we're explaining to people waiting for support now to do these kind of things, then you have to have each, not covering 100% of the scenarios because it's not possible, but we are covering all that.
Okay, so I feel your pain, but I wanted to show something. So perhaps we can take that offline because it's not an easy topic and certainly not solvable in my session. But anyway, if you test your stuff and it works in your scenarios, I rarely had any problems after deploying it. And yeah, well, let's go on. The Windows Embedded Standard boot sequence. We all know that, but I want you to take a closer look and having in mind the branding issues. So think about what would you like to change, what would you like to keep if you see such a system booting up here. And maybe we can even collect during the boot the ideas. Do you like starting Windows? Yes. You're the only one, Olivier. The Windows flag, is that okay? It depends. On what?
Who's my target audience?
Yeah, it always depends on the project. That's a very good input, thanks. And yeah, we get into and we see the electronic bagel, I call it always, the blue circle, and the status text messages. And we've got the unbranded Windows Embedded Standard login screen here, unbranded, nice, light blue. This image here is only there because I'm using an evaluation copy. If I would stamp the image with a product ID, this image would be gone, so don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm asking you, what do you need for your embedded project? Any ideas?
I need to remove all Microsoft.
That's pretty drastic.
All types.
Everything, all the Microsoft artwork away. Okay. Anything else? So this would mean removing the boot logo. Do you want to have your own boot logo?
Naturally, if we can brand it specific for
Okay. Then we would like to have a logon, a background, a branded one. Or would you like to have to log on at all? No? Because if you don't want to show that it's a Microsoft system, the logon screen is pretty, yeah.
So company branded boot screen, skip logon, branded background once logon
Yeah.
happens, customized color schemes to match my company.
crash, customized crash detection or pop-up so that you don't see any of the blue screen of death.
Okay, so yeah. Instant reboot, for example, would be great, or for an embedded system. Even if it crashes, it gets up and, well, maybe interrupt something, but it's available again. Any other ideas? Different cursors, perhaps, yeah. The whole theming thing, sounds, different sounds.
The ability to customize the user interface to fit more in line with my company's look, feel, and my product that I'm presenting to my clients.
That would mean having a custom shell, or? You don't want to see the Explorer shell.
Not necessarily completely custom shell, but the ability to.
Okay, you want to brand this shell. It's a shell.
Yes.
So you don't want to have that Windows flag on the left corner and so on.
Or
Okay.
have it launch the application immediately without presenting them the option to launch additional things that they don't need or we're not presenting to them.
Okay. So that were already a lot of inputs. I've collected also some of them, and they're pretty good match, I think. The goals are always dependent on the project requirements, of course. And, well, easy stuff would be change the Windows appearance, the themes, background sounds, cursors, colors. Use a custom login. Though what you can do is you could use custom artwork on the login screen. You even can have custom credential providers. For example, if you have a special authentication method such as fingerprint scanners, retina scanners, or something like that. Auto login, of course. Disable Control or Delete. If you're on a kiosk system, you don't want to have the kids playing around with starting Task Manager or something like that. The boot sequence, there are more options. You're able to suppress the complete boot UI experience. You can have a custom boot logo, which is quite a hack, to be honest. And of course, during the boot phase, you want to have a smooth transition into a login screen or shell if you have auto logon, for example. You might want to get rid of the status text messages, so no welcome, no shutdown message, have your own message or leave them out of the configuration, and no Windows 7 electronic bagel, because that's really a typical Windows 7 thing that gives a hint that there's a Windows 7 system running. Yeah?
Quick question in addition to that. Is there a way to have it skip the login screen but present kind of that legal disclaimer dialog box that says, as a consumer of this licensed product of mine that we're providing to our customers, I accept it, and then it takes them.
Yeah, you could implement that with a custom logon provider. Oh, yeah, really? Oh, good. Learned something. Yeah, shutdown resume. You can also have the custom status text messages here and custom artwork. All right, so that's a lot of things to do. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit, so to say, the simple modifications. We all know we can change the Windows themes using the built-in editor. My recommendation would be, if you do that and you have your own artwork, get a designer to do the artwork, because I've seen many, many technically perfect systems that just had ugly designs and were not successful. So it's really worth to spend the extra dollars on good design, on good imagery. Well, for backgrounds, for sounds, cursors, and so on. It's relatively easy to do also to change the background image. You could either use ICE to configure neutral or Windows embedded branding. I've already showed you that. Or you could manually replace the standard images with your custom imagery in the Windows System 32 UBI info backgrounds folder. So what a path. If you don't want to fuss around with all that stuff, you could use a tool which, for example, is called Logon Studio from Stardock, which does that for you. And please be aware, if you're changing the login screen, it also changes the shutdown background. So you cannot have a log on screen and a log off screen. It always is, it's the same image.
Are there published specifications on for Windows 7 embedded that I can have my graphic designers?
Yeah, you could.
Dynamic and the static images? You have the Windows flag that's dynamic.
Yeah.
And are there
Well, you need to extract it from the resources, and you could pass the extracted bitmaps or PNGs to your designers as a sample. Yeah?
We had a similar related question. We've had tremendous challenges getting that artwork to our designers and trying to reverse engineer those particular resources, being that they're possibly interleaved differently or they have certain specifications. Is there any publication as to being able to get into that resource?
I think for Windows Media Centers, there's quite a good.
So for Media Center, we're documenting something for others and so on. We have not been given a documentation to do that.
I remember in Service Pack 2, you modify something like that, a resource, and it would actually regenerate itself.
You definitely
Pretty nasty.
do that and find the instructions. I mean, for the legal reasons that we spoke earlier about, we're not documenting the specifications. But people like Alexander can do that.
Thanks very much, yeah.
We can share a web blog and so on. We can share the information. That is possible.
That's what I'm living on, you know. Okay, we also are able to suppress the boot UI. We can do this again in ICE by choosing the Hide Boot Screens feature pack, or we can do this manually by using a tool called BCD Edit, and we set the current boot partition, boot UX disabled. I'll show you this in a minute, and if you want to get it back, it's not enabled, and I searched for 10 minutes. Oh, enabled error. It's standard. If you want to go back to the boot UI, use standard. We are also able to disable the boot screens on resume. That might be interesting if you're running home. Hibernate wants resume many, and you don't want to show that bar coming up. The little drawback here is that you need to specify a device-specific globally unique identifier for that partition. Which is a little bit a deployment issue. Can be solved, but it's additional effort. Okay, back to the demos.
Be able to elaborate on some sort of solution for resolving that issue?
Afterwards? Okay. A script, yeah, it's a script. You need to write a batch file or a PowerShell script which does that for you. Okay, so we're here in the login screen, and now we're on the Windows desktop. And the first thing I'm going to show you is, well, the easiest thing. It's a themes editor, personalize, and yeah, drill down into Windows themes. And here you can change the backgrounds, colors, sounds, screensaver, mouse pointers, and anything. So that's a no-brainer, and I'm sure you know. Everybody knows how to do that. If not, shout now. We wanted to change the logon experience. So therefore, we have a look in the unbranded backgrounds, which are in System32 UBI info backgrounds, so the nice light blue pictures. And I'm going to replace them now with some custom artwork I prepared. It's like in a cooking show. So I prepared something, and you just have to trust me there. Copy over. Yeah. Continue. All right, looks good. I'm cheating here a little bit because beforehand I took ownership of the folder and also gave me administrative right permissions. I'm also logged in as an administrator here because the Windows system fast protection can get pretty nasty, and yeah. You have always to fight it if you're doing those tweaks.
Is that something you recommend for the development, is to create a script that will apply that elevated credential to a series of locations?
Well, you could do that, yeah, for development, but you need to have the reverse script as well. Yeah.
Is there a list of those folder locations that you could find, or do we have to trial and error?
Well, you have my presentation. I've got them all in there. As Olivier said, there's no official list. We're only partially official here. So it's a kind of undercover session. OK, so let's log off to prove that. Fingers crossed. Oh, no. What happened here? Interesting. Demagods are not. I'll do something else. If that doesn't work, I just create a custom background. And images. I've got some custom images here. Take the last one as background. Oops. Where did it go? Was it selected here? No. I did a mistake here. Clicking too fast. Save changes. Save theme. Okay, and this gives me the chance to show you the tool Logon Studio. And it comes with some predefined wallpapers, and I say just apply mine here. Take some time. And voila. All right. I think there was some rights problem. And now we've got the customized logon screen with my custom artwork. That's Bavaria, by the way. It's a place I live close by. Doing some tourist marketing here. OK, and we wanted to use an elevated command prompt to shut off the boot UI. Can you see that in the back? Or should I? Yeah? BCD edit, set, set current boot user experience to disabled. OK. So now let's reboot. What should we see? Nothing. Yeah, correct. And as you can see, the log off screen is the same as the login screen. You can't change that. And we don't see anything here. Is it good or bad? Yeah, bad, it's frozen. So if you don't have an LED on your device or something, that shows the user, oh, there's something going on. They tend always to reboot the system, and that can be not the wanted effect you want to have. So think about it if you really want to shut off the boot user experience completely. So, yeah. Because, yeah, the user feedback here is quite important. They see, OK, there's still something going on. The system is booting. We're waiting for that. Here they would say, OK, that's crashed. We send it back, creating additional cost for you. Well, you know what I like to have from those Windows Embedded guys is a customized version of the bootloader, where we could implement what we want to have. That would be cool. But it's hard to get, I think, Olivier. Oh, good feedback. I heard that thousands of times. All right, so now we're, yeah, that was the easiest things to do, shutting off the boot user experience, having your own custom artwork in the background. All right, let's move on with the slides. Yeah? In WinPE, yes, you can do. WinPE works just the same way. It's just a stripped-down version of the kernel. You can use BCD edit to shut off the user boot user experience as well. But it's gone then, so it's away. But you could also do the other stuff I'm showing you on WinPE here. So let's do some more progressive things here. Well, let's start with a custom shell. That's quite common in embedded, having a custom shell. There are two ways to do that. You could configure the shell launcher component in ICE, or you could edit the registry. Configuring shell launcher has some benefits because it gives you additional robustness. The shell launcher is restarting the shell anytime it crashes automatically. You don't have this feature if you're just edit the registry. But what you can do editing the registry is that you can have different shells for different users. Is that interesting? It might be quite interesting. Think about you have one user for your application in your kiosk system, and you've got another user, the one user with the application as shell, and the other user is a maintenance user with Explorer shell. And this helps field engineers to be much more productive. They don't have to change the shell and so on. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to install a custom credential provider. There's very good documentation and samples coming with Windows Embedded Standard in the samples custom logon subfolder in the Windows Embedded Standard folder. So yeah, normal projects for Visual Studio, C++, you just compile them, and that's what I did. I just show you how to install one of those samples here. And we are also going to use the embedded enabling features, the first two. I'm going to show you how to do message box interception and how to use the dialog box filter. I'll skip the write filters because we are a little bit short in time. OK, back to the demo machine. Shutting that down. Turn off. I've got a second version here. And you see, I've got already two users prepared here, one maintenance user, Robbie, and the test user. But before doing this, yeah, I want to introduce you to my test shell. I've created a custom test shell. I'm not a great UI designer, so don't worry about that. We've got some buttons on my test shell, which is a message box. So. And I wanted to show you the dialog filter and message box interception capabilities of Embedded Standard. Therefore, I created this WF application, and I've got a blocked window here. So that's the window we want to block. That's a window which should not be blocked. And I'm also starting a different process calculator, which we also want to block in our system. How do we get these features into our image? We use ICE again, create a new configuration, and out of the embedded enabling feature pack, we just pick and choose the dialog box filter. That's a Windows service scanning the desktop. And it scans for certain configurations. And we take the message box default reply. Message box default reply avoids message boxes and redirects the content of the message boxes into the event log, which is quite good because message boxes very often are errors, and you want to know what's happening on your system. If you just click it away, that doesn't really help you. But it's good to find that information in the Windows event log. So that's all we need to do to have this functionality in Embedded Standard 7 to configure the dialog filter. We have another tool, which is called the dialog filter editor. And yeah, let's start. So message boxes are handled by the message box interception. We're now configuring dialog filter. I want to block this window. So I'm going back to dialog filter, say refresh, and here we've got the block window. Double click it to have the configuration. And don't forget to specify an action. So we want to close it, not to maximize it. We could maximize or minimize as well. And that was that. Starting calculator, we also want to block the calculator, refresh that. Here's calculator, add that, and close it. Right, so that's our configuration. Save it to the desktop. Yeah. And here it is. So it's an XML file that it's used as an input for the service. So you've got the process names, the windows, and yeah, we need to copy that over onto the. It's just if it boots up, if you change the XML file, you need to stop the service, copy over, and restart it. And during the restart, it reads it. Yeah. Yeah. The XML file or what?
Can you service the pop-up and programmatically do something as far as servicing?
Yeah, well, you need to stop the service, the dialog filter service, and then do the update of the XML file.
I get a pop-up, I'll notice that you can open and close. Can you also service that particular pop-up through the XML?
Oh, you mean you say push a special button, or
Yeah.
no, you can't. Yeah, no. It's just for closing, minimizing, maximizing.
Mark Chamberlain had come up with a pop-up service block.
Okay.
Much more robust.
No, I don't know it, but if it exists, that's great. What you also can do, and there's a sample in the Windows Embedded Standard documentation, to create your own dialog filter if you have special custom requirements. Because you cannot, as Microsoft, you cannot create one tool that fits all. That's practically impossible. So what I wanted to show you now is we log into the test user. And go directly to the registry. I already copied over the shell and so on. So what I'm going to do now is the normal way. If you do it by hand, manually, you would go into Software Microsoft, Windows NT. That's an old setting. WinLogon, Windows Logon, and there's a shell setting. If you change this setting and put your application, any application can be the shell, into that value, everybody on the system, all the users are running with that shell. Due to the fact that we are already in this value here, in this registry key, here's also the place where you configure autologon. We see a default username, which is a user we logged on here, test, and we also could specify a default password here, test. And if we do that, and due to the fact that it's an admin, put auto admin logon to 1, we have auto logon for this user. That's quite common that systems configured are in that way, but it's kind of a security hole because you have the password here in clear text in the registry. What could you do to avoid this? Any ideas? Pardon me? It goes to the same registry key. Yeah, it's clear text, unfortunately. No, you could write your own custom credential provider, just doing an autologon. So that would the secure way to do that. But I wanted to show you how to do custom shells for different users. So I'm leaving the Explorer shell for all the other users, and I'm now going to the HKey current user key, and below the same hive, Software Microsoft, Windows NT, current version, WinLogon. I just create another key string shell, and I pass in my TNA, my custom shell. I already copied into the Windows folder, TNA shell.exe. All right, so now we've got custom shells. So I need to prove that, excuse me, by logging off. And logging on again. And here we are in the custom shell. Let me start Explorer. Due to the fact that the main entry still is on Explorer, if I start the first Explorer instance, it still takes over and gets shell, which is good for demos, because I need to prove you that the maintenance user still got the Explorer shell. Or would you believe me? I think you believe me, or? No, just kidding. So Robbie has not the same. It has the Explorer shell as his shell. Okay, going back again. So, due to the fact that I wanted to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's go to an ugly thing. Did you see what happened to the background? We had a background for test user, and it disappears if you're running under a custom shell. And that's a bug in Windows, unfortunately. And it's a known issue, as I've heard. And
So here's the question, though. If I'm replacing the shell, I can remove the minimize buttons, maximize buttons, close buttons from the customized shell and brand the shell itself.
yeah.
And then I don't care about no background.
Well, yeah, of course. But it really depends on the project requirements. Sometimes users want to have a custom shell, but still have a background because they have other applications on the background. So you never know that. Of course, if that's fine with you, hey, cool. What you can do if you want to have that background back as soon as the application is started, you could have call a batch file or programmatically, which adds the registry key, HKey current user control panel desktop wallpaper, then put in your image. So that's edit 12 JPEG, and then you call a method in user32DLL with the help of runDLL32, update per user system parameters. This gives you back the background when running a custom shell. Okay, so look at this, it's back again. But this is back because I started the Explorer, except Explorer also does it. All right, then, yeah, we need to have a look at the embedded enabling features. I'm just getting rid of Explorer actually by logging off and logging on again. Okay, we configured message box interception. So when I click here, the message box should not pop up. Keep fingers crossed. No, it doesn't. So I really can hammer it. No problem. We blocked this window. So, well, that's bad, or? It's popping up. So that's something we need to investigate. We blocked calculator with the dialog filter. And that's not blocking up. So there's something strange going on here. Let's have a look in Event View. And there's a special log for the dialog filter. It's below Applications and Services log in the Event Viewer. Microsoft, Windows, dialog filter, operational. So let's see. We have some action. So here's my blocked window. And it's pretty much the same XML as you can find in dialog filter editor. So process name is correct, title is correct, but you see here it says something strange. If we have a look at the configuration XML we've created, the class, the dialog filter editor, detects this window. But that's a .NET application, so our just-in-time compiler seemingly provides a different class name here. And the bad thing is that it creates dynamically a global unique identifier. So we're not able to catch that window, that WPF window, with dialog filter. Again, that's kind of room for improvement in dialog filter. In the meantime, have a look at the sample provided and create your own dialog filter, which may, for example, neglect the class information here.
Can you tell to ignore it, the class, and just go by title?
No, not that I'm aware of. Huh? Yeah, no, you cannot.
Dialog filter actually would log all the system dialog filters for sure, but it's not custom application Windows, which are not dialog boxes, but Windows.
Could you create a script that builds the unique ID in for a machine itself?
No, the JIT compiler creates a unique ID. Yeah, the compiler. Each time the window is recreated, it's got a new GUID ID. And that's, yeah, I tried that. Didn't give up at the first.
I mean, once you run script after it's
Okay, one additional thing I wanted to show you is the sample credential provider. I copy a DLL I created of one of the samples provided by Microsoft, and I'm just copying that into the Windows folder, Windows System 32 folder. Okay. And we need to register that, just the hook. Yes, I'm sure, and great. Let me log off. So we should see an additional, and here it is, the window credential provider here. And what it does, it displays an extra window where you can put an Euler or a warning or whatever, and then you're able to log on here. Test, test, and we're in. So that's just the extension of the logon experience here. Yeah, that's a Geno replacement, more or less, yeah.
So can you use that replacement where it boots directly to that?
Yeah.
So I could hide maintenance and hide test.
Yeah.
Have it boot directly to that, where my maintenance guy would put it.
Yeah, the samples show how you enumerate all the users and what you show on the desktop. And then if you have just want to do an auto logon into that, you can do that. All right, so I really have to hurry up because I wanted to show you the advanced stuff as well. Advanced customizing means replacing the boot logo or boot and resume overall. We can do this using a tool by somebody at coderforlife.com. Yeah, well, that's quite a hack, to be honest. And please contact the author for business use if you want to use that commercially. We are able to change the status messages on boot, resume, and shutdown with a tool, for example, called Resource Hacker. I'm going to show you this. You could also use Restaurador 2007, which is a commercial tool. Resource Hacker is free. So pick and choose whatever fits best. To change the status messages, you need to get those 4 MUI files. And yeah, if you want to change the status messages in different languages, you have to redo this for each language, of course, because these are MUI files. Make copies. We all do that anytime, I know. And then if we open that MUI files with the Resource Hacker, we're just going to those string IDs and change them in the way we want to. We could just delete them, but we also could specify our own welcome messages here. Again, take ownership. Another option to get hold of the system files is don't boot into the system, but use a Windows pre-installation environment. And then it's much more easy to copy over the files because the system file protection on the offline image is not active. OK, another interesting story is getting rid of the electronic bagel. The resources for the electronic bagel are located in a DLL called imageres.dll in Windows System 32. Again, we can use Res Hacker to open this resource DLL and replace or delete those resources. And I'm going to show you how to do this. If you're replacing, watch the image palette, and that's exactly what you said. Be careful with the image configurations to get optimal results. You have to have the correct palette, look what's the transparent color, and so on. But ask your designer to do that. That's not programming, or developing. And you also need to change the arrow mouse cursors, because if you don't do that, you see that little blue bagel with the mouse pointer flickering up from time to time. And that's maybe also not one of the things you want to show up. They're located in Windows cursors. Just replace them by a transparent cursor or a 1-bit cursor. OK, so let's hurry up and do the advanced demo. Go to the oh, thanks. I always do that to confuse people. So I just started the Windows 7 Boot Updater application. And as we can see, oh, sorry, don't touch that anymore. We have our start background here. I turn this to white. Say, now simple. 2 messages, changes to Wexler Consulting, of course. Take over the Windows 7. Selecting a bitmap. Sorry, not a bitmap, static images. Take that one here, choosing that background color. OK, and I'm also doing this. For example, if I would create a gaming device with a racing game, I would boot up with Gentleman, start your engines. OK, and pardon me? Oh, yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah, that's a third-party tool. And, well, I could also do this for the resuming window, but I'm running out of time, therefore I skip that. And I'm just updating the corresponding resource DLLs and doing a lot of tweaks. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm also going to show you how to change the status messages, firing up the ResHacker tool here. And open, for example, WinLogon. Have a look at the string table. And here's, for example, the arrow, the welcome message. And I could put in, hi, folks. This is tech at 2011, Atlanta. Compile it, save it. Looking at the electronic bagel, I could open up image rest DLL. And as you see, all the bitmap files here are electronic bagel files. So what you could do is just delete all of them if you want to get rid of it. You could also replace it, of course. So if you say replace resource here, you could specify your own image, which, of course, needs to fit into the space here. So if I repeat this for winlogon.exe, wininit.exe, MUI, winresume.exe MUI, and winlogon.exe MUI, then we're well prepared. And yeah, so I've prepared this also in a different machine. I just show this. Because it's you believe me, the copying over process is okay, yeah? Thanks very much. So now I'm putting in a configured system. So we're putting up Gentleman, start your engines. After some time, the logo appears. You could also have an animation, but I was not capable of creating one. So therefore, we've got the logo. And then we do an auto log on into the custom shell. Yeah?
Your experience with RegHacker and some of these tools, x86, x64, any concerns there? Or is the servicing with the
Well, I'm using RegHacker, more or less, yeah, because it's a free tool.
86 OS implementation or 64-bit?
On x86, most probably. My projects have mainly been on x86 until now. So you've seen no electronic bagel, or did somebody see it? And well, I've got my custom shell here, and I just changed the cursor so it doesn't look like Windows. Well, if you think, yeah, of course I would need to get rid of those buttons here. Any questions? No. All right, so that's pretty much what sorry. There's more, fine-tuning. You're always able to fine-tune your system either using group policies, or you could enable God mode. Who has heard of God mode? A few. So that's just renaming a folder, which gives you access to a lot of the normal tweaks. So here, it just the first half is a free choice. You can name it what you want: God mode, one-stop control, and then you're in a mode where you easily see as an overview what is configurable in Windows. So that's a very nice tool. No, that's a Windows 7 feature. And you also could use Tweak UI, the Windows 7 Ultimate Windows Tweaker utility, to do some of the tweaks. And there's more. You could even use or even brand the out-of-the-box experience, which can be turned off and on completely in Windows Embedded Standard 7. But quite often it's useful to do some in-field modifications for system naming, network configuration. And the information how to do that is on TechNet. Look for sysprep branding info, and you find how to do that. Yeah? You can configure that. You can configure that. Yeah. Sysprep is highly configurable to do that. The defaults are not always intuitive, yeah, but you can do your customization there. Okay, I'm pretty much at the end. To sum it up, I would say Windows 7 is highly configurable. It's not as easy to some extent as it was under XP Embedded, looking at the bootloader and so on. You can create an experience where you don't see that it's Windows 7 at all, which is great for us embedded people. But otherwise, you also could use kind of combination of having Windows 7 with your own corporate branding, which is quite often desirable as well. I'm open to questions now. Yeah, anything we didn't talk about? Yeah? I didn't get that. Windows features on and off. What do you mean by that? Oh yeah, that's the same. So the question was, is turning off and on the Aero and that stuff also available on Windows Embedded Standard? Yes, it is. So that's the same.
And in fact, adding or not adding features, actually, as when you're building Web 7 images, you're not including everything. You will not see anything that lists that you're not including. By default, when you install a new tab, it actually activates the Windows.
Thank you.
And it is not in the philosophy of embedded to allow a user to add a picture on an embedded device or the OS. Think about the fact that your 90% of the case will run through custom shell, will not have Explorer. You won't have a control panel. If you want to deploy a new feature, the best way to do that is using Vism to install a new tab that adds the specific feature you want. But back to your question, we're using Windows 7 binary. So if you basically choose the top template or added the right control panel and so on, you will have these features in Windows-based stuff. Just like going into Windows, add Windows features, having the checkboxes and selecting the one you want to add or not. You can do that. Functionality is there. Most of the case, it won't be there because the template you're using or the aggregation of feature packages you're choosing won't allow you to do that. But functionality is in there.
Okay. All right, so people, thanks for being here in this early morning session. Please fill out the eval forms. You win strange things, great things, I wanted to say. Yeah, big thank you for being here. Bye.